Scotty91 is in with this and says, we absolutely need Stu to steal us games where the team isn't at its best. The Panthers have a leaky defense, but Bobrovsky has single-handedly won the first 2 games. Scotty says, Campbell stole game 4. We need Stu to do it sometimes too. And listen, I think that's actually a really fair take. Like, again, the blue line for the Oilers hasn't been great. You look back at last game, there was the dumb pinch by Darnell Nurse. There was a couple of mistakes from Vinny Desharnais. 2 of the goals came on a Golden Knights power play as well. You can't sit there and like blame Stuart Skinner on any of them, but at the same time, you look down at the other end and Laurent Brossoit, when that game was on the line late in the third, made a handful of really, really big stops. And this isn't even to say that Stuart Skinner hasn't made big stops, but we are now 7 games into this playoff run, and he hasn't stolen a hockey game for this team. I think game 6 would have been viewed a little bit differently if there wasn't that gaffe and if it wasn't a Kyler Yamamoto goal that ended up being the hero moment. Like, if they win that game without the Yamo goal, without that gaffe by Skinner, I know his stick broke, so it was bad luck, but like, if he doesn't do that, we maybe look at game 6 as a game that he stole. But even in that one, like, we haven't had like a .950 save percentage game from Stuart Skinner, and he's this team's starting goalie. I think he's kind of due for one, and he probably needs to get the job done at some point. But we're going to pick McKenna's brain about that a little bit, Liam, so we don't need to go too deep into things right now. So baked, whoever wants to start Campbell is off their rocker. Liam, okay, maybe we will just get into this now, because it seems to be all people want to talk about in the chat. If tomorrow doesn't go well, if the Oilers lose 4-3, 5-2, whatever, then I think there is a conversation to start Jack Campbell in game 3, but there's no conversation to start Jack Campbell in game 2, in my opinion.
No, I would completely agree. And I think it's always interesting in the playoffs when you get into these conundrums of your starting goaltender isn't playing well. Why are you so hesitant to put the other guy in, right? Like, Jack Campbell in his last, 5 starts or so, has actually been pretty good for the Oilers, I guess, for last 5 appearances, because obviously the LA one. So I don't think they would be too hesitant to start Campbell. I think it's just more of like a belief in Stuart Skinner and trying to get him going a little bit too. And it's interesting, like you said, like, he's not really out there making outlandish mistakes. Like, obviously the LA one wasn't great. What was it on Wednesday? Was it the 5th goal that could have probably been stopped that went through him a little bit? But it just feels like mistakes are happening so often in front of him that he's making Skinner look significantly worse than he actually is. But again, you look at that game against the Vegas Golden Knights, and he had that big stop on March or so at the end of the game. He also had the 2-on-0 where they literally did a tic-tac-toe in front of him. He's like, he actually is making big saves. They just sometimes need to be a bit more timely, and you need to not allow 5 goals a night.